Part 66. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 652. When Duan, the head of the trial department, arrived at the scene, he saw the body of Senator Milo on the ground. Swallowing hard, Duan couldn't believe what was happening in front of him. Overnight, the House of Lords lost 2 senators, from 48 to 46. The deaths of the 2 senators will cause chaos and shock in the textile and port industries. Looking at the furnace standing aside, Duan's eyes instantly became bloodshot. The 2 senators died not at the hands of others, but by wizards in front of them. Where does this leave them with the dignity of witch hunters? Melting pot. Are you crazy? Which force in the northern continent has any goodwill towards you now? Why did you come to the capital to assassinate the senator? Duan really didn't understand. When the ancient sea wizards of the Martini Islands were annihilated, the witch hunters and the forge cooperated very well. There was no news about the forge for a while. The forge suddenly appeared in the city of Legara and suddenly killed 2 people. Senator, he still stabbed people in the street frantically. How could this not make Minister Duan full of anger? Rudolph pointed to the relics on the ground and asked, "Have you finished speaking? I have to pick up the relics after you finish speaking." Hearing this, Duan became even more angry. He immediately raised his hand, ready to issue an attack order. Even if we suffer heavy losses today, we must kill the furnace here. The judicial department has made many sets of plans for facing the melting pot, and now is the time to test whether those plans are effective. Wait. Don't you want to see what kind of relic this relic is? Hearing the cry of the furnace, Duan did not lower his raised hand, nor did he issue the attack order. What relic? Level 7 Deceitful Priest's relic. What? Duan didn't expect it to be this kind of relic, a relic of a level 7 Deceitful Priest? The Deceptive Priest is the most cunning. The Deceptive Priest is the only apostle who can accommodate 2 kinds of apostles' power. One is the ability on the surface, and the other is the Deceptive Priest's ability behind the scenes. If that relic is really a relic of a deceitful priest, doesn't it mean that a level 7 deceitful priest has infiltrated the ranks of alchemists and has become a member of the upper house of the alchemy parliament? Is this why the furnace went crazy? This matter involves the identity of a member of the House of Lords. Duan's authority cannot handle this matter. The senator has immunity and he cannot investigate or collect evidence. If it is really a fraudulent priest, why don't you tell us why you come directly to assassinate a senator? If witch hunters are useful, why do we need wizards? Rudolph shook his head and said with a smile. Would you like to find a mirror, look in the mirror, and see if you look like a loser in the mirror? If I told you that Senator Milo was a deceitful priest, Milo would be the next person to know the news. If you guys could handle this, why didn't you handle it earlier? What are you waiting for? Do you know how much information Milo conveyed to the southern continent? Do you know who your smuggling ships are smuggling for? Elba's Alchemy Council has long been like a sieve, full of loopholes. If it hadn't been for me, I think Milo would have become Speaker of your House of Lords and Prime Minister sooner or later. In front of many subordinates, he was called a loser by a wizard. This was so embarrassing and unfair. The adjudication department is a subordinate agency of the House of Lords. How could Duan have the right to investigate a senator? Just when the situation reached a deadlock, a group of big shots came here. The leader was House, the Prime Minister of Elba's Alchemy Council. The witch hunters made way for the Prime Minister. House saw Milo's body lying on the ground and the wizard's furnace standing next to Milo's body. Furnace, I am the Speaker of the House of Lords and Prime Minister. Furnace, give me an explanation, otherwise, you will not be able to leave here alive. House is a tall alchemist who ran for Speaker because of his excellent military experience in the Constitutional Army. He speaks and acts in a military style. Faced with the threat from the Prime Minister, Rudolph became more serious and put away his playful smile. He said, Mr. Prime Minister, I learned through some channels that a level 7 priest is lurking in Legara city and has become a powerful senator. I am inseparable from the evil god section. When I heard that there was a level 7 priest here, far away from the southern continent, I didn't wait for a second. I wanted to kill this level 7 priest right away. As you can see, this level 7 fraud priest is Senator Milo. The level 7 deception priest has special abilities. I cannot inform you or slowly look for opportunities, otherwise he will definitely escape. His deceptive ability made it impossible for him to be caught. As a last resort, I had no choice but to take action as soon as I entered Legara city and use the most extreme means to clean out this 7th level priest. Prime Minister, please take a closer look. There are 2 relics underground. One is an alchemy paddle relic of a level 7 alchemist, and the other is a fraudulent copper coin relic of a level 7 deceitful priest. The tribunal is so familiar with wizards, I don't think they will mistake these 2 relics. This proves that I am right. Apart from this method, I can't think of any other way to deal with a level 7 fraud priest. If you have any questions, you can ask the witch examiner to inspect these 2 relics. However, these 2 relics belong to me now. They should be inspected at most 1 meter apart, otherwise I will feel that the judgment department is trying to snatch my relics. After getting permission from Prime Minister House, Minister Dwayne arranged for 2 witch examiners to go up. The witch examiners followed the wizard's request and stood 1 meter away to inspect the relics. They determined that the 2 relics were both level 7 relics. The copper coin is really a relic of the level 7 deceitful priest. After the witch examiner returned, he reported the situation to Duan, who then reported it to Prime Minister House. The situation was true, and Senator Milo was indeed a level 7 fraud priest. This matter was shocking enough. There was actually a fraud priest who sneaked into the House of Lords and served as a member of the House of Lords for more than 10 years. This proved that the Elba Alchemy Council had no secrets in front of the evil god cult. Prime Minister House frowned and couldn't think of how to end this matter for a while. The witch hunters had cleared the people around at the fastest speed. Those who could stand on this street were witch hunters or core figures of the House of Lords. Seeing that these alchemists could not come up with results for a while, Rudolph leaned over and picked up the level 7 fraud copper coin. He threw the copper coin into the air, then reached out to catch it and clasped it in the palm of his other hand. Minister Duan, let's play a game. If you can guess the front and back, I will let you do whatever you want. How about that? Minister Duan became even angrier. That's a level 7 fraud copper coin. No matter what I say, it will become the opposite side the moment it is opened. What's the point of guessing this? Don't be in a hurry. I just want to see if the ability of the fraud priest is really that magical. Prime Minister House interrupted the game of the furnace. For the House of Lords, this was a night of heavy blows. They were in no mood to play any games with the furnace. Furnace, what about the other senator you killed? Is he also an evil priest? I don't know him, but he was not killed by me, but by this fraud priest. If I hadn't helped the House of Lords, this fraud priest would have caused even greater damage. Prime Minister House had to admit that what the furnace said was right. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 653. Rudolph is not needed for the aftermath, and the Judgment Department does not want the furnace to participate. Prime Minister House has left, and Rudolph and Minister of Judgment Duan stood side by side, watching the prey people deal with the aftermath. Minister Duan pointed to the fat congressman with only his hips and 2 legs left on the stretcher, and said indignantly, "Furnace, if you contacted me in advance, this would never happen." Rudolph shrugged, "There is no if in this world. If I contacted you in advance, how can you ensure that you are not deceived by Milo and turn around to hunt witches?" Duan didn't know how to answer, and the furnace's concerns did exist. Fraud is really a headache. If it is not fraud, even the own people are deceived, and the deception of the own people is more fierce, all forces must let the word spirit focus on fraud. The promotion of the fraud priest is very interesting. You must complete the successful deception of the high-level fraud priest to achieve promotion. The fraud church is the only church that announces the promotion ceremony of the evil god. As long as the 8th level fraud priest completes the successful deception of the evil god fraud, he can seize the authority of the evil god fraud and become the new evil god fraud. Of course, this promotion ceremony has never been successful, but the evil god fraud has added a lot of fun to his long life because of this promotion ceremony. The fraud church has no temple. If 3 fraud priests gather together, they can't do anything. They are left with intrigues. This is determined by their ability characteristics. Even if the fraud priests have subordinates, they must be completely controlled. This makes most of the fraud priests fight alone. The best way to deal with the fraud priests is not to let the word spirit lead a battle with the fraud priests, not to rush up and assassinate like a furnace, but to find a way to let 2 fraud priests meet. 2 fraud priests together will either die or be injured. It is said that every time the evil god fraud appears, it must be accompanied by the death of a certain unlucky fraud priest. This is the favorite little game of the evil god fraud, and it is also his bad taste. Being selfish to the extreme is also a kind of free and easy. The evil god fraud doesn't care about anything, only cares about whether he is happy or not, which makes other apostles envious. The fraud priest is very strong, but unless he is deceived, no one wants to be a fraud priest. Fraud doesn't care about the spread of his beliefs at all, he only cares about who can bring him freshness and fun. His only purpose in creating fraud priests is to make toys for himself. Do inside, how come there is a level 7 fraud priest in the House of Lords? Rudolph shook his head, don't be so absolute, how do you know that only one level 7 fraud priest has become a senator? Duan turned his head in horror and stared at the furnace, what else do you know? At this moment, Duan's eyes were full of anxiety and despair. Is there really a second fraud priest? Look how scared you are. I was just joking. Don't tell me such hellish jokes in the future, otherwise I have reason to suspect that you are also a fraudulent priest. Duan asked again, how did you know that there is a level 7 fraudulent priest in the House of Lords? Rudolph couldn't tell others that he mastered the forbidden wind skills. These forbidden skills would cause fear to other apostles, which would make other apostles more afraid than hunting for their relics. If their relics were hunted, they would die at most, but being controlled would be more intolerable, which would make Rudolph the target of public criticism. I can't tell you this. This is my little secret. Then how did you deal with the fraudulent magic? How did you aim at him? Duan was so curious that he couldn't help it. Even if the fraudulent priest stood in the middle of the square, no one could hit him except the words of the same level as the fraudulent priest. The furnace was 1 level lower than the dead Milo, and was only a level 6 wizard. How did he kill a level 7 fraudulent priest? I can't tell you this either. This is another little secret of mine. Duan felt that the furnace was full of secrets. He could discover and hunt for the relics of the higher level fraudulent priests, which other apostles could not do at all. Duan sighed, if Mr. Eric could be promoted to level 8, we wouldn't be so passive. Who is Mr. Eric? Our level 7 word spirit. Oh? You have a level 7 word spirit? How old is he? When will the legal and compliant relics be produced? Duan glanced at the furnace and did not answer this bloody question. This furnace is really damned. After the witch hunters finished handling the scene, an officer came to the street and whispered a few words in Duan's ear. After listening to what the officer said, Duan said to Rudolph, Furnace, 2 big shots want to see you. Which 2? 2 level 8 alchemists from our alchemy council, Prime Minister House you just met, and Commander-in-Chief Stein of the Constitutional Army. It's just 2 senators who died, is it necessary to make such a grand ceremony? Yes, it's necessary. In the conference room of the Capitol, Rudolph pulled out a chair and sat down with some trepidation. Opposite him was a real big shot, Prime Minister House, who he had just met, and another soldier in a marshal's uniform, who should be Commander-in-Chief Stein that Duan mentioned. Prime Minister House was also a military man, which made both of them look cold and resolute. Prime Minister House's face was more square, and Commander-in-Chief Stein had narrow eyes and looked very difficult to mess with. Duan stood behind Prime Minister House. There were only 4 of them in this conference room. Prime Minister House spoke first. "There is no one else here, Furnace. I want to thank you for uncovering a level 7 fraud priest for us." Rudolph thought he would be questioned and was a little flattered to hear the Prime Minister thanking him. This was different from what he planned. With a little effort, "I also want to hunt for relics." He also wanted to say that he also wanted to thank the Parliament for allowing him to find a level 7 fraud priest in the House of Lords, but seeing the Prime Minister's tired look, the joke was not said out loud. "Forge, I want to know what your attitude is towards the 2 enemies of Elba's Alchemy Council, the Knights and Nobles in the east and the Werewolves in the west." Rudolph shook his head. No, Prime Minister House, what I want to say is that you cannot ignore the enemies in the south, and you cannot ignore the evil god cult. You have 3 enemies, the Knight Nobles, the Werewolves, and the evil god cult. Prime Minister House explained, the evil god cult is not only the enemy of the Elba Alchemy Council, but also the enemy of the entire continent. All forces on the continent recognize the sacred exorcism agreement inherited by the Mogwen Empire. Once the evil god cult sets foot on the northern continent again, all the forces in the northern continent will unite under the command of Emperor Mogwen to drive out the evil god. The Holy Exorcism Agreement. Rudolph was very confused. The prophecy of destruction of authority was released by Hermes, the level 8 speech spirit of the Mogwen Empire. The Mogwen Empire is one of the driving forces behind the werewolf restlessness. Could it be that this can we still trust the Mogwen Empire? Prime Minister House explained, we have no other choice. The strength of the Alchemy Council is limited, and fighting on 2 fronts is our limit. Consider the enemy in front of you first, and the werewolves first. Forge, what is your true attitude towards the Knight Nobles and werewolves? Rudolph temporarily put aside the evil god cult, but he really felt that the evil god cult was the more terrifying enemy. He said, I don't want to fight against the Knight Nobles. I have some friendship with the Marquis of Golden Anchor. But if it comes to fighting against the werewolves, then I am very interested, very interested. Commander-in-Chief Stein suddenly said, you have a wolf girl by your side. How do you prove your determination to fight against the werewolf? Commander-in-Chief Stein's entry point was very good, and Rudolph had to explain the experiences of the 2 of them. My woman, the wolf girl Yvonne's family died in the wolf tide in Lehmantown. We only have hatred for werewolves and will not have anything to do with werewolves just because the wolf girl is a werewolf. In fact, the wolf girl Yvonne I have never had anything to do with any werewolf tribe, Rudolph suddenly said. Wait, why do you want to interrogate me? I mean, whether I have hatred with werewolves or friendship with knights, I don't need to explain anything to you. Rudolph found it strange that his interactions with the Alchemy Council were limited to the fact that the alchemist regarded him as an absolute hit weapon, and Rudolph regarded the alchemist as a supplier of high-level alchemical weapons. Prime Minister House said, Forge, we are considering giving you more level 8 alchemy weapons. The level 8 alchemy bullets I made and the level 8 giant air burst bombs made by Commander-in-Chief Stein can be used by you in the future. We want to establish a stronger cooperative relationship with you, but only if you prove that you will not be harmful to us, and will indeed use these weapons on werewolves. Rudolph controlled himself not to smile too obviously and said quickly. I don't know how to prove it, but please believe that even for my woman, the wolf girl Yvonne, I will seize every opportunity to weaken the werewolf ancestral mountain. If allowed, I would even want to destroy the werewolf ancestral mountain. This way Ivan will not be affected by the call of the distant ancestors. The incarnation of the werewolf's ancestor, Corvinus, does what other werewolves do, and my woman Ivan also does it. If Ivan can become Corvinus, then the northern continent will do it. The wolf tide will be extinct, and we will not let the disaster in the wolf tide happen again. House and Stein looked at each other. If the furnace gave some noble reason, then they were still a little unsure, but if the furnace was for his woman, then the credibility would be much higher. The wizard, the wolf girl and the living corpse, this strange combination came out of the town of Lehman in Fabro City, Carolingian Kingdom, and have been together all the time. The wolf girl has a special meaning to the furnace, if it is to help the wolf girl fight against the werewolves. The distant ancestor calls, then the Forge's hatred of werewolves is believable. Prime Minister House did not hesitate and made the final decision, Mr. Furnace, we hope to establish a deeper cooperative relationship with you. To show our sincerity, we can give you a level 8 alchemy bullet now, provided that you ensure that this bullet it must be aimed at the werewolf. Of course, it is a special bullet. This level 8 alchemy bullet will definitely shoot at the werewolf. Rudolph felt that pushing the envelope was not his style, so he added. This level 8 alchemy bullet is a bit tired of aesthetics. I can't understand the level 8 alchemy giant air blast bomb. Prime Minister House said, level 8 giant air burst bombs are strategic weapons. You can kill me with a level 8 alchemy bullet at most, but with a level 8 alchemy air burst bomb, you can destroy half of the city of Legera in an instant. Apart from war, during this period, strategic weapons will not be open to you, please understand. That's what happened. I understand very much. Rudolph became even more excited after hearing this. Alchemists still have such good things. When will it be his turn to have fun and destroy half of the capital with one bullet? Thinking about it, he is still a little excited. Prime Minister House and Commander-in-Chief Stein left the conference room, and Rudolph followed Minister Duane to receive level 8 alchemy bullets. Just now did the Prime Minister tell me to give me some level 8 alchemy bullets. 1. I used up level 18 alchemical bullets when I was cleaning up the level 7 fraudulent priests for you. Will you reimburse me? Reimburse one and give me another. Do you have to give me two? Why didn't you tell the Prime Minister just now? Were you busy thinking about the level 8 giant air blast bomb just now? I forgot. As long as you cooperate with us, we will provide you with more level 8 alchemical weapons. Okay, one is one. Alchemical bullets are stored in the Judgment Department. When passing by the interrogation room of the Judgment Department, Duane signaled Rudolph to lie on the observation window and look inside. Rudolph looked inside in confusion and found that someone was being tortured inside. What do you mean? I don't know this person either. An Orion wizard who dared to murder you. You know, Orion wizards restrain Scorpio wizards. We caught him and we are torturing him. We must find out who dared to murder our ally of the Elba Alchemy Council. What a coincidence. We just formed an alliance and you caught an Orion wizard. I see that his wounds are very fresh, all within half an hour. Could it be that he was your guest of honor an hour ago, and now he is the criminal who destroyed your relationship with your ally? Mr. Furnace, you are really humorous. How can it be such a coincidence? Rudolph only thought that this was a casual expression of goodwill from the Alchemy Council. He just didn't know where this Orion wizard came from. It was lucky for him to fall into the hands of the Judgment Department. If he fell into the hands of Rudolph, he would definitely die more miserably. Can I take the relics of this Orion wizard? Sorry, no, his relics are very useful. Use the relics to deal with the Scorpio wizard? Then isn't it still against me? I even think you stole a relic that belongs to me. You worry too much. It is definitely not against you. A magic weapon can't be used against you. It is used to deal with other Scorpio wizards. What you don't know is that you have raised the value of Scorpio wizards by yourself. Witch hunters from various countries are studying how to deal with Scorpio wizards. We definitely don't mean to target you. We want to target other wizards. Oh, shit, thank you so much. This is a dimensionality reduction attack. Rudolph doesn't know who sent the Orion wizard to deal with him. From Duan's tone, it seems that it is not the Elba Alchemy Council. However, because Rudolph is too outstanding, this Orion wizard not only has no chance to attack Rudolph, but is also used by the Elba Council as a tool to show goodwill to Rudolph. It's really pitiful. After a small episode, Rudolph successfully got his level 8 alchemical bullet. With this bullet in hand, Rudolph felt full of security again. The next morning, Rudolph was enjoying his breakfast in the restaurant. He held the Ledger Daily in his left hand, and the front page headline on it was, "The Judgment Department cleaned up the level 7 evil god priest who sneaked into Ledger City last night." A huge success. Rudolph smiled and said to Minister Duan opposite him, "I just like your alchemist's shameless style. When hypocrisy reaches a certain level, it actually feels pragmatic." Minister Duan of the Judgment Department smiled bitterly. "How else should we deal with it? Could it be that the wizard Furnace sneaked into Ledger City, killed 2 senators on the street, and then hunted for the relics he needed? One fact, 2 statements." Rudolph finished breakfast and put down the newspaper. "Okay, I know you don't like me very much, I will leave Ledger City now. Then I will take you to the station and send someone to take you back to Oyster Bay Port." "I'm not going to Oyster Bay Port." "Ah. What?" Minister Duan became nervous instantly. "This is different from yesterday's plan. I'm going to the Carolingian kingdom." Minister Duan breathed a sigh of relief. They could accept the Furnace returning to Saragosse and leaving. Duan kindly reminded, "The Carolingian kingdom is not safe. The Carolingian king Lothair XI has summoned all his nobles and knights. A civil war has broken out there. It doesn't matter. Where is safe? Rudolph is going to the Carolingian kingdom. One reason is that he wants to visit the city of Fabreau. Another reason is that he wants to be promoted to become a level 7 Lacerda wizard. Lacerda is a northern constellation. The secret location is deep in the northern continent, the tomb of Hevelius in the Carolingian kingdom. Hevelius is a famous astronomer in the history of the Carolingian kingdom. He is famous for discovering many deep space celestial bodies that were previously invisible. Once you become a level 7 wizard, you will be a big shot on the continent. A popular 2-in-1. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 654. Rudolph wiped out his breakfast and said, "Minister Duan, I hope you can maintain a good relationship with my volcano trading company while I am away. After all, I also helped you uncover a level 7 fraudulent priest, right? I kind of want to thank you, but the idea is not very strong. Haha, I have a special way to find a level 7 deceitful priest and kill him. It's not that I underestimate you, you are not very good at it. Minister Duan made a promise, during your absence, we will clean up Oyster Bay Port and ensure that there will no longer be the power of the priests. Your volcano trading company can also travel freely on the southern coastline. After all, you will become a level 7 wizard soon, and we won't be able to offend you when you come back." Rudolph used the wind elemental forbidden technique unscrupulously, and obtained the name of the level 7 fraudulent priest through many means of soul control. Later, in the battle with the level 7 fraudulent priest, he happened to be holding Fraudulent's half-artifact Fraudulent Solitaire, allowing Milo's deception went nowhere. It would have been difficult for others to even find a level 7 deceitful priest. They would not have been able to ask for Milo's name from the great smuggler Snag. Rudolph suddenly remembered something, and suddenly looked serious. Check whether Snag has been promoted. If he is promoted, you must tell me, and I will kill him. He is not simple. Maybe Milo's death is his deceptive game. If he doesn't get promoted, then go kill him. He is a level 6 deceitful priest, and the control methods I set on him may not always be effective. Rudolph suddenly felt that he could find out the information that Senator Milo was a 7th level priest, and it was very likely that Snag had deliberately revealed it. Snag is not a simple person, very not a simple person. Seeing the solemn look on the furnace's face, Minister Duan said quickly, "Okay, I will send out all my cards to investigate the smuggler Snag. If Snag is promoted, are you interested in dealing with a level 7 fraudster, priest?" Duan feels that the judgment department of level 6 deceitful priests can deal with it, but the level 7 deceitful priests will have to ask Mr. Eric to take action, which is more troublesome. Rudolph shook his head. "I want to get promoted first, this is more important to me." The fraudulent priest was very, very smart, and Rudolph felt that Snag would not do anything to the Volcano Trading Company until he died. "Oh, by the way, please don't tell the Carolingian Alchemy Council about my trip to the Carolingian Kingdom. I don't want to cause trouble. They are more sensitive to my appearance. We currently maintain a fragile compromise. I don't want to be they disturb." Duan wanted to say that everyone is sensitive to your appearance. Not everyone dares to hunt down the senator in the capital. Yesterday, their trial department conducted a deduction. It was difficult for them to kill the furnace within 20 resurrections of the furnace. The furnace may not be able to be resurrected only 20 times. That was just the limit tested by the evil god cult, not the limit of the furnace. In the end, both sides can only suffer losses, and the city of Legaro will suffer huge losses. Duane continued, "Mr. Furnace, Prime Minister House has instructed me that I hope you will contact us as soon as possible after your promotion and help us fight against the wolf tide. The threat of the wave is getting bigger and bigger." Rudolph nodded. This was also an important reason why the Alchemy Council did not pursue him. His behavior was excessive. If it were not for the threat of the wolf tide, the council would not let him go lightly. "Okay, Minister Duan, please go back. I think the judgment department still has a lot of work today. I'm going to take a break here and will leave here soon. You don't have to stay with me here." After Duan said goodbye, he put on his hat and left the restaurant. There was only a solitary furnace in the spacious restaurant. He really hoped that the furnace would leave here as soon as possible, and go to the Carolingian kingdom without any delay, leaving the headache to the Carolingian trial. Let them feel the pain of staying up all night. As for what the Forge said not to tell the Carolingian Alchemy Council, Duan sighed. According to their alliance with the Carolingian Alchemy Council, they should tell it, but the Forge is too special. This wizard can't be killed and can't afford to offend, so it still counts. I hope the Carolingian Alchemy Council can handle it. After Duan left, Rudolph had time to sort out last night's harvest. He got 2 level 7 relics last night. The fat congressman who unfortunately died of an accidental injury from a level 8 alchemical bullet was not held accountable by the parliament. In the end, the accusation was placed on the deceitful priest. This was very embarrassing for Rudolph. He was too embarrassed to ask for the fat congressman's relics. Of course Duan would refuse even if he asked. Last night, he couldn't relax even for a second when dealing with the deceitful priest. Rudolph didn't even have time to get the relics of the fat congressman. The 2 level 7 relics he obtained belonged to the deceitful priest Milo. The first relic is a level 7 alchemy propeller, a pocket-sized silver propeller, which represents Milo's main focus when he was in Oyster Bay Port. His alchemist ability was to serve his maritime career. The Mu star of Taurus is lit, and the progress of Taurus reaches 7/10. 3 suspended stars falling from Taurus are the 3 rewards Rudolph can choose from. Level 7 Alchemical Power Paddle, Level 7 Mincing Technique, Level 7 Northern Auriga Secret Technique. The level 7 alchemical power paddle should be some kind of witchcraft that provides power for alchemical creations. This option was the first one he ruled out. He is not interested in mechanics and is not good at them. The level 7 mincing technique should be some kind of witchcraft with a powerful mincing effect. Rudolf does not lack attack methods, so this option has also been ruled out. He chose the secret form of the northern constellations, the secret form of the northern constellation Auriga. Northern Auriga secret form. Astrological chart, charioteer's hexagram. The main relic is a level 7 alchemist's relic or a level 7 trapped priest's relic. Sub-relics, level 7 vampire relics, level 7 werewolf relics or level 7 druid relics. Ceremony location, Auriga direct area, Mert-Ilos Colosseum. Rudolf looked at the relics needed for this constellation. He already had the main relic, the alchemist relic. The werewolf relics were not difficult to obtain, but the vampire relics were a bit more difficult. The vampires were apostles who had the fear of death engraved in their bones. Many of their abilities it's all about escape. The second relic is a level 7 fraud copper coin. This is the last relic needed for the northern Scorpio and Tiger constellation, and Rudolf finally gathered all the relics needed for a northern constellation. This copper coin is very interesting. After throwing the copper coin, whether you guess heads or tails, whether you say it out loud or think it in your heart, as long as you have this thought, it will be the opposite of your last thought when you open it. The star O Taurus is lit, and the progress of Taurus has reached 8/10. 2 more relics are needed to light up Taurus, and the progress is very slow. Taurus is the first earth sign that Rudolf will light up, followed by Virgo and Capricorn. The road is still quite long. Rudolf's luck ran out. Among the 3 options that fell from the star O Taurus, Rudolf could not choose any of them. Level 7 Deception Dice, Level 7 Deception Shield, Level 7 Northern Scorpio and Tiger Secret Style. Both witchcraft tools require the fraud copper coin in hand, so it is impossible to use this relic as a witchcraft weapon. Level 7 Deception Shield sounds very tempting, maybe giving Rudolf the ability to gain immunity from attacks or redirect attacks. There is a secret formula, which is the Lacerda secret formula that Rudolf had obtained before. Who took away my luck? Is this also one of the characteristics of fraud? Is it a side effect of killing the deceitful priest? A little fooling trick? For Milo, this may be a mini-game automatically exerted by his deceptive power, but for Rudolf, this is a waste of a valuable lottery opportunity. Are you sure the forge is on the train? On the train to the Carolingian kingdom? Definitely, because he turned back and smiled at me. I thought I was going to die. It turned out that my surveillance was all under the control of the furnace. After hearing this report from his subordinates, Minister Duen was silent and said, "If you get a promotion and a salary increase, the Judgment Department will be responsible for the resources and materials for your promotion." This subordinate risked his life and confirmed the departure of the furnace. He deserves to be commended. Although an alliance has been reached, it is uncertain whether the forge will leave, and the entire House of Lords cannot feel at ease. Thank you, Minister. Rudolf got on the train and headed to the Carolingian kingdom. When the train was crossing the border, he discovered that the former military camp here was missing. The Carolingian Alchemy Council had been looking for an opportunity to intervene in the Elba Civil War and wanted to send troops to help the Elba Alchemy Council. However, before their constitutional army entered Elba, they encountered the restoration of the nobles in the rear. The constitutional army assembled here had to turn around and head to the vicinity of the capital to fight the noble royal army. The Carolingian royal family only had an army. This was a landlocked country. They did not have to distract the navy and their power was more concentrated. When the train passed through the town of Gas, which was Jennifer's fiefdom, Rudolf found that Jennifer's castle had been razed to the ground. He got off the train early in Gastown and walked towards the Baron's castle. Standing outside the castle and looking at the ruins, Rudolf felt a little relieved. Because there were not many dead bodies in the ruins, it proved that the people in the castle had evacuated early. Sometimes people's fate is so wonderful. A few years ago, Baron Jennifer was one of the top nobles in Fabreau City, with a high status and fertile land. These things have also become a constraint for Jennifer. Rudolph, Yvonne, and Cooper, who had nothing, had to leave their homes. The three of them wandered, struggled, and were promoted on the ancient Sea of Sarah. Now Yvonne is a level 7 werewolf, and Cooper Bow is a level 7 zombie, and Rudolph will soon become a level 7 wizard. But now Jennifer has lost everything due to the drastic changes in the kingdom. I don't know if she has been promoted to a level 4 knight. After making inquiries in the town of Gas, the news he heard was similar to what he had inferred. The Baron of Gas and the Viscount of Fabreau and other nobles had learned the news in advance and left Fabreau with their cavalry in response to His Majesty the King's request. Summons. Rudolph continued walking towards Fabreau City. He did not alert the alchemists in Fabreau City, even though Speaker Arden had been controlled by his Gemini forbidden technique, split personality seed. He doesn't want to deal with the alchemists here. He just wants to arrange for familiar people in Fabreau City and get promoted as soon as possible. In a tavern, Rudolph met two of his students, Arimon and Blanca. The two were very excited to see the teacher come back. With the restoration of the nobility, it was no longer safe here. Fabreau City has been hunting down the remnants of the nobility, and there are witch hunters everywhere. I see that you two have also become level 4 wizards. It's time to go to Saraguay and the southern continent to advance and find a way to become level 5 wizards, Rudolph said. I will give you the horoscope secrets and give you some relics, but after you go there, you must not tell your teacher's name. I will cause more trouble in the future. You must not admit that you are my students and just say that you don't know me. I feel ashamed to say it. Your teacher's reputation in the southern continent is not very good. How should I put it? If you say that you are my students, there will be too many people who want to vent their anger on you, which will be very bad for you. What is even more embarrassing is that all the secret formulas and secret formula locations I have completed are under the strict surveillance of the evil god sect, so you cannot accommodate the same secret formulas as me. I can only give you some secret formulas from the southern wind constellations. Arimon and Blanca looked at each other. As level 4 wizards, they could also access some news and secrets from far away. The name of the furnace was heard even though they were so far apart. For example, one of the most famous things recently was that the furnace destroyed the ancient Sea Wizards Guild, a wizarding organization that had existed for hundreds of years. The ancient Sea Wizards Guild had the inheritance of the Northern Sky Dolphin Wizards, powerful self-healing capabilities, and was extremely difficult to deal with. That's it? Overturned. We understand, teacher. We will be very careful when we go to the Sarago Sea and the southern continent. Blanca said, Teacher, there is one more thing. Before Baron Jennifer left secretly, she found me and wanted to inquire about your situation. I didn't know much about you. She was a little disappointed. She and other nobles took a detour from the wilderness. To the north, we can cross the area controlled by the alchemist and go to the royal family's territory. I see. Rudolph didn't know what to say to Jennifer. If he could, Rudolph would find Jennifer and give her some witchcraft. The two students left the tavern and headed to the southern continent to find opportunities for promotion. If they don't meet Rudolph's enemies, their promotion should go smoothly, right? If he meets Rudolph's enemies, then Rudolph will avenge them. When he becomes a level 7 wizard, he will no longer be the alchemist's thug, nor will he be easily wanted by the Carolingian royal family or the evil cult. At night, he appeared in Yanila's bedroom. The Silver Snake mother and daughter have been hiding carefully. Their promotion is too difficult and cannot be achieved by hard work. After Claude's death, Mrs. Jessica had no idea of promotion at all and just wanted to spend the rest of her life in peace. Yanila has always been concerned about Rudolph. As the saying goes, a woman who has been protected by a lion will not fall in love with a hyena. After comforting Yanilla for a long time, Yanilla finally stopped being resentful. Rudolph lowered his head and said, "Yanilla, how should I cooperate with you? How much I want you to be promoted and make you safer." Yanilla got out of the quilt, wiped the corners of her mouth, and said slyly, "I learned a new one-character horse." "Oh? What a one-character horse! A glorious one-character horse." The next morning Rudolph got dressed and prepared to leave. On the big bed behind her, Yanilla has been successfully promoted to a level 4 silver snake. "Yanilla, digest your abilities as soon as possible. When I come back, I hope you can figure out other new tricks. Then I will promote you and make you a level 5 silver snake." Level 5 silver snakes master the art of petrification and no longer suffer in frontal battles. This time, Rudolph did not take the slow steam train. After he came to the countryside, he let the Starlight Southern boat take him through the bottom of the Rhone River. Sneak along this river downstream, merge into the big river, and then walk not far away, you will reach the hometown of the astronomer Hevelius. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 655. Hevelius, the last astronomer to observe the starry sky with the naked eye, had already been invented when he studied the starry sky. At that time, astronomers generally used optical equipment such as astronomical telescopes, but Hevelius insisted that only what the naked eye saw was real, and he still insisted on observing the starry sky with the naked eye as before. The lack of optical equipment did not affect Hevelius's achievements. He distinguished and named many constellations, among which Lacerta was a constellation discovered and named by Hevelius. Lacerta means lizard or chameleon in Hevelius' hometown. When Rudolph entered Hevelius' hometown and this town, he found that it was not much bigger than Lehman. This seems to be a forgotten town with many old stone buildings in the town. The form of these stone buildings seems to be in the era of the Night Kingdom. There are no details or decorations on the rough stone walls, and even the guardrails of the balconies are made of stone, unlike the current buildings. With the promotion of smelting technology, the balconies are all iron railings. The tallest building in the town is located at the edge of the town. There is an observatory there. There is no huge telescope on the observatory, but only a tower-like platform. On the platform is where Hevelius studies constellations. It is hard to imagine that Hevelius was on that platform, observing the movement of stars with his naked eyes, and then recording the movement of those stars on drawings. Hevelius's observatory has been abandoned by the Alchemy Council. It has no practical function and is now an unpopular tourist attraction. This attraction is so unpopular that no one is willing to climb the platform. Some people in the town have always wanted to demolish the observatory and move the stones from the observatory back home to build walls. For ordinary people, many of the alchemists' research is actually useless. They don't understand why the city council wants to keep the stone platform. Such a good big stone, a big stone that has not been weathered for hundreds of years, is a good wall material. Young man, did you also know about the astronomer Hevelius from reading books? Let me tell you, when Hevelius was alive, this town was all for his service, which gave him plenty of time to look up and stare blankly. Go and see, there is a sculpture of Hevelius next to the observatory, an old man with his head raised and staring blankly. After arriving at the observatory, Rudolph saw that the observatory was very old and had not been repaired. The wooden components on it had long been rotten, the windows and doors were gone, but fortunately the spiral staircase was made of stone, which did not affect people climbing up. Rudolph climbed up the observatory in the second half of the night. This attraction was indeed unpopular, with no staff on duty and no one to watch over it. In the second half of the night, only 2 or 3 windows in the town had lights on, and there were no patrolmen on the road. This was really a town forgotten by the times. There was another reason why there were few people in the town. The young people in the town were all conscripted by the conscription office. The North was fighting with the nobles, and the constitutional army was urgently expanding its army. Taking out a starstone, Rudolph began to draw the astrological hexagram. In the sky more than 10 kilometers away from the town, 3 airships are rushing towards the town. On the airship, the director of the regional court looked serious and even a little flustered. Because the Carolingian Lothair royal family suddenly announced the restoration, night riots broke out in many places in the kingdom. The 7th level word spirit of the Carolingian parliament had to do a divination about the rear every day to avoid a city in the rear that would cause great harm. The word spirit made a prophecy some time ago that a certain northern constellation might be abnormal, so the courts of various places were asked to patrol the direct areas of each northern constellation. The place where the director of the court was going to patrol today was the Hevelius Observatory, where the Lacerda wizard was born in history. This kind of patrol is very inefficient. The larger the constellation, the larger the direct area. Every point on the ground is the direct area of a certain constellation, and it is impossible to prevent the promotion of wizards through patrols. And it is extremely unrealistic to deploy enough forces to deal with the 7th level northern wizard in the direct area of each constellation. Baitian wizards are already very terrifying on the continent. Wizards are stronger than apostles of the same level. Starting from level 5 wizards, promotion requires 3 apostle relics, which will accommodate the abilities of 3 apostles. The director believes that it will be difficult for their regional court to deal with a level 7 wizard. Even if it is difficult, he has to do it. If the knight nobles and a level 7 wizard collude, it will become more difficult to deal with. Rudolph did a divination before the promotion, and the divination result told him that the promotion was slightly unexpected, but there was no need to worry. The starstone was crushed into powder by Rudolph, flew out from his fingers, and flew to the ground of the platform. The starstone powder slowly moved and transformed into a scorpion tiger hexagram pattern on the platform. Inside the double-line ring are 2 inverted intersecting equilateral triangles, forming a hexagram pattern. 3 rings appeared side by side in the middle of the hexagram, and inside the ring was a constellation pattern unique to the scorpion tiger. Rudolph took out 3 relics, the main relic, the ghost shadow of the level 7 zombie relic, the secondary relic, the dolphin blood of the level 7 water wizard relic, and the fraud copper coin of the level 7 fraud priest relic, and placed them in 3 circles in turn. Looking up, he found every bright star in the Scorpio Tiger constellation, connected the bright stars, and imagined the image of a chameleon. Under the effect of the Scorpio Tiger hexagram, the 3 relics began to emit strands of apostle power. When the 3 apostle powers entered the Scorpio Tiger hexagram, the starlight in the Scorpio Tiger constellation in the sky suddenly flickered, making it the brightest star field in the starry sky. On the airship of the Judgment Hall 10 kilometers away, the wizard witch hunter hurriedly reported to the director, "Director, there is a response in the Scorpio Tiger star field. Someone is being promoted and wants to be promoted to the North Scorpio Tiger wizard. What stage has he been promoted to?" "I don't know, Director, my level is too low. I can only vaguely sense that the star power in the direction of Scorpio Tiger has become extremely active and extremely rich, but I can't sense what specific stage it has reached." The director hesitated again and finally issued an order to speed up. The House of Lords attaches great importance to the stability of the rear. If there is a big turmoil here, he will not survive. It is better to go and see, just in case he can negotiate. Even at worst, he is better than running away directly. On the high platform, the Scorpio Tiger hexagram is filled with the power of the apostles of the 3 relics, and it has the conditions to receive the star power of Scorpio Tiger. Rudolph began to receive the star power. The zombie power in the main relic, the 7th level ghost shadow, the wizard star power in the secondary relic, the dolphin blood, and the fraudulent divine power in another secondary relic, the fraud copper coin, all entered Rudolph's body. These apostle powers mixed in Rudolph's body. After the apostle power reached a certain concentration, the stars in the Scorpio constellation in the starry sky became brighter, and the huge Scorpio constellation star power suddenly surged out. Then, the stars in this star field dimmed and became the same as before. Rudolf looked up, but did not see the blue star power of Scorpio constellation. He was not panicked, because this involved the characteristics of the Scorpio constellation star power. Scorpio constellation represents chameleon. Rudolf could not see the star power because these star powers have extremely strong concealment characteristics. Rudolf's naked eyes could not see them at all, and even the danger intuition could not sense the Scorpio constellation star power. But he knew that the secret ceremony was going very smoothly, and the Scorpio constellation star power was on the way to descend. This is the characteristic of Scorpio constellation: unknowable, unchangeable, and super stealth ability. In the distance, the wizard hunter on the airship was sweating profusely. What's going on? Why did the star power fall in the middle? Is there something wrong with the wizard's relics? Or is the astrological hexagram wrong? Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 656. The unknown and untraceable Lacerda star power suddenly appeared above Rudolf's head. There was nothing unusual above his head, the airflow rate did not change, and the mosquitoes flying by were not affected at all. Their thin wings could not feel any change in resistance. The Lacerda star power entered Rudolf's body without Rudolf being prepared. This promotion was silent. Except for the moment when Lacerda was initially activated, the rest of the process was silent, without dazzling star power, and without any movement. The star hexagram on the ground disappeared at some point. If it were not for the apostle power of the three relics in his body, Rudolf would not have noticed the disappearance of the star hexagram. The three relics were completely transformed into pure apostle power, pouring into Rudolf's body from under his feet. Under the dominance of the Lacerda star power, the three apostle powers exerted their power in turn and began to transform Rudolf's body. First, the water wizard relic, the water wizard star power in the level 7 dolphin blood stasis, flows through Rudolf's body like spring water, nourishing every cell of Rudolf. Under the effect of this dolphin wizard relic, Rudolf has a very strong self-healing ability. No matter where the penetrating wound occurs, even if the penetrating wound occurs in the head and the brain is beaten out, it can slowly heal itself. The star power in the water relic makes every cell of Rudolf active, and every cell is hungry and looking forward to change. The main relic level 7 ghost shadow takes effect second, and the power of the zombie begins to transform Rudolf's body. If Cooper is here, he will be surprised to find that Rudolf's body is fading rapidly. First, the body becomes translucent, and then other scenery behind Rudolf can be seen. Then Rudolf turns into a black shadow, and finally becomes a completely transparent ghost. On the high platform, Rudolf's figure completely disappears, completely without a trace. The ghost state alone is not enough to reflect the power of Lacerda. The third relic, the level 7 fraud copper coin, begins to work. The fraud power in the fraud relic allows Rudolf to avoid all direct connections such as sight, lock, aim, and also avoid weak connections such as divination. The completely transparent shadow state, under the effect of the fraud priest relic, becomes more elusive. Not only is it invisible to the naked eye, but it is also untraceable by perception and divination. After the apostle power of the three relics transformed Rudolf's body, the Lacerda star power began to strengthen this change. In Rudolf's perception, the Lacerda star power broke through his body and formed a completely transparent starlight creation outside him. This starlight creation is in the shape of a chameleon, and only he can see the starlight creation. Rudolf tried to reach out and touch the starlight chameleon, but found that the starlight chameleon had no entity and could not be touched. The chameleon characteristics of the Lacerda star power allow Rudolf to perfectly blend into the environment no matter what environment he is in, and he cannot be detected. At this time, Rudolph suddenly realized that he had gained another absolute ability, absolute concealment. The starlight chameleon slowly left Rudolph and appeared beside him. Rudolph looked at the starlight chameleon. Even he could only see an outline, and could not see the facial features and other details of the starlight chameleon. Unlike the blue light of most starlight creatures or the poisonous purple light of the starlight long snake hydra, this starlight lizard is completely transparent, or in other words, completely unknowable. Reaching out and touching the outline of the starlight chameleon, he found that his palm completely passed through the starlight chameleon. In the hidden state, the starlight chameleon has no entity. Following the absolute profit of the word spirit and the absolute hit of the Southern Cross, Rudolph's third absolute ability, absolute concealment. Absolute concealment, Rudolph walks on the earth, but it is like walking on the back of the world, wandering outside the world, unknowable, unchangeable. Reborn from the ashes, back to the past, absolute hit, absolute concealment, Rudolph was a little emotional after taking stock of his abilities. He was obviously a sunny and cheerful boy, but he was going further and further on the road of old yin coins. No one has tried the limit of rebirth from the ashes, the absolute hit that cannot be avoided, and now there is an absolute concealment that cannot be sensed and detected. The more he plays, the dirtier he gets. Is this a distortion of human nature or a moral decline? I feel sad for those forces that are hostile to him. In the future, the continent is so big that Rudolph can go anywhere. As long as he doesn't want to be exposed, he won't be exposed. In the starry sky, the Lacerda star field is like nothing happened. On the high platform, the starstone powder is like it has never appeared. Next to the high platform, 3 airships hang ropes, and the witch hunters either fly down, jump down, or slide down along the ropes. The witch hunters carefully walked through the town and carefully explored near the observatory, but found nothing. The head of the judgment hall called the wizard hunter and asked, "Are you sure there was a change in star power here just now?" "Head, I was sure before, but not now. There was a star power that showed its edge at the beginning, and then disappeared without a trace. I can't catch it." The wizard who joined the judgment hall was only a level 5 wizard. There was no knowledge about Lacerda wizards in his master's inheritance. The Lacerda wizard is the most mysterious wizard among the 88 constellations in the sky. This kind of wizard rarely appears in history, or even if the Lacerda wizard appears, others cannot be known. Level 7 wizards are already very powerful, and there are very few level 7 apostles. It is very difficult to obtain 3 level 7 apostle relics, which makes the number of level 7 wizards very, very small. Who would have thought that there are level 7 wizards with special skills in hiding, who are strong, shady, and elusive? Rudolph, who was in absolute hiding, sat on the stone wall on the side of the platform and looked at the 5 witch hunters on the platform. Some witch hunters lay on the ground, studying stones one by one, even in the cracks of the stones. Some witch hunters held telescopes and looked into the distance, trying to find the trace of the mysterious wizard. The director of the court was studying the intelligence they had obtained with his men. The anxious director of the court began to pace, constantly changing directions and looking around, hoping that a witch hunter team could bring him good news. After pacing for a long time, the director stood up and faced the town. He stretched out his hand to the low wall. What he didn't know was that Rudolph was sitting opposite him. When the director reached out to touch Rudolph's thigh, Rudolph was a little flustered. "I am a wizard of the northern Scorpio tiger, and I still want to be taken advantage of." However, the director's hand passed through Rudolph's leg without any resistance and pressed on the stone wall. His hand was so strong that fingerprints even appeared on the stone of the low wall. "Where is the wizard? Where is the wizard?" Even if their bodies partially overlapped, the director of the tribunal could not find Rudolph. Not to mention that this was just a director of the tribunal, Rudolph felt that even a level 7 word spirit standing in front of him would not be able to find him. Rudolph had no intention of contacting these witch hunters, and he did not want to expose the ability of the Scorpio Tiger Wizard too early. He just wanted these people to leave quickly. Rudolph jumped off the low wall and went around behind the director of the tribunal. He was in an absolutely hidden state, and no one could find him. Coming behind the director of the tribunal, Rudolph blew a cool breath on the back of his neck. At the moment of blowing out the cool air, Rudolph's figure suddenly appeared. If there is any flaw in the Lacerda wizard, it is that when attacking, or trying to influence reality, he will be out of absolute concealment. The director of the judgment hall suddenly felt the yin qi at the back of his neck, which made his scalp numb. When he turned around, he found that there was nothing. Strange, what happened? The wizard hunter kept rubbing his eyes, not sure whether what he just saw was true or false. Did a pervert blow on the director's neck? But why did the pervert disappear again? The other witch hunters didn't know what happened to their director. Why did he turn around with a face full of fear? Rudolph could blow a cool breath to tease him, or he could snipe him with a bullet close to his face. He didn't know where the attack came from. The frightened director of the judgment hall no longer dared to stay here. Retreat. Retreat quickly. Keep a record. Just say we didn't find anything. The sharp whistle sounded, waking up the people in the town who were sleeping. The witch hunters rushed to the airships, climbed aboard and left. Rudolph watched the 3 airships leave. He still had to take stock of the other gains after his promotion. These witch hunters really delayed his work. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 657. With Rudolph's promotion, all his abilities were promoted. In the water-related forbidden technique, 3 puppets became level 7 puppets. Silver Snake Abigail was promoted to level 7 Silver Snake, which can charm level 7 apostles. If someone looks directly into Abigail's eyes during the battle, they will be petrified directly. This powerful strength makes the Silver Snake the object of strict defense by all forces. As long as a high-level apostle appears, it will be controlled. Level 7 apostles are all big figures on the continent. If a level 7 apostle suddenly changes his temperament, then there is reason to suspect that he has been charmed by the Silver Snake. Of course, the Silver Snake is also a very useful scapegoat. If any big figure suddenly loses his mind and does something crazy, there is no hesitation to push it to the Silver Snake. Indulging in women is a good excuse, and women are the universal scapegoats of big figures. Word Spirit Larry also became a level 7 Word Spirit with Rudolph's promotion. Among his abilities, the biggest change is the Absolute Prophet, from the 3-second Absolute Prophet at level 6 to the 5-second Absolute Prophet. A person cannot be killed by an attack 5 seconds ago. In the 5-second Absolute Prophet state, the enemy must use a large-scale attack that the Word Spirit cannot escape in 5 seconds to kill the level 7 Word Spirit. In addition to the 5-second Absolute Prophet, the level of Word Spirit divination has also become higher. After being able to divine things related to the level 7 apostle and obtaining the divination certificate, the apostles of the same level have no secrets in front of the level 7 Word Spirit. After the vampire Vanya was promoted to the level 7 vampire, his image changed dramatically. 3 pairs of bat wings appeared behind him. In the name of the vampires, he is now a 6-winged vampire. The flying ability brought by the bat wings alone is a great improvement. In addition to the original skills, he mastered an ability called Blood Mist. Level 7 vampires can create large areas of blood mist, and a thick red blood mist rises from the soil. Level 7 vampires can flash in the blood mist at will, which makes it more difficult for vampires to die. In addition, after the castle bats of the level 7 vampires are killed, they will also turn into blood mist and linger around the enemy. The flash limit of 3 times the speed of sound, the flash without stiffness brought by the blood mist and the castle bats, make the level 7 vampires become the apostles that are very difficult to kill among the level 7 apostles. In addition to the 3 puppets, the fire phase forbidden technique has also been improved. When he was a level 6 wizard, the sparks were yellow-white. At this time, he was promoted to a level 7 wizard, and the sparks became pure white. When threatened by the Pillar of Creation on the Sarago Sea, the Ares wizard's sparks were white, which means that the sparks are at a higher temperature. The yellow-white sparks at level 6 have a temperature of about 6,000 degrees Celsius, and the pure white sparks now have a temperature of about 8,000 degrees Celsius. Correspondingly, the power of the Lion King sparks and the shooting finger fire has increased a lot, especially the shooting finger fire, which accumulates all the sparks into a point and then shoots them out, making the destructive power of this forbidden technique close to the ability of the level 8 apostle. After accommodating the dolphin blood stasis, the relic of the level 7 water wizard, Rudolph has a good self-healing ability. After trying to use the starfire, I found that the side effects of the starfire burning blood can be ignored, because the dolphin relic will quickly replenish Rudolph's blood, and he can use the starfire unscrupulously in the future. As for the Ares pupil fire, this is mainly related to the soul. His soul is stronger because of the upgrade, and the Ares pupil fire will also become stronger. Although the pupil fire is white, it has no temperature in reality. It is mainly used to burn the soul. The wind phase forbidden technique, the split personality seed and the salt covenant that cannot be betrayed, can control the 7th level apostle. The problem with these 2 forbidden techniques is that they take a long time to cast. They can be used when they are not in a hurry, but they cannot be used in fierce battles. As for the Aquarius forbidden technique, the gentle wine waiter, it can control the 6th level apostle. All 9 forbidden techniques have growth potential. Except for the 3 strongest constellations in the south sky, rebirth from the ashes, return to the past and absolute hit, the remaining ones do not have growth potential. These abilities are enough, plus the newly acquired Scorpio absolute concealment. Although this continent is large, Rudolph can go anywhere. After taking stock of his promotion gains, Rudolph was not in a hurry to return to the Eagle's Beak Peninsula. There was another thing that worried him in the Carolingian kingdom, and Jennifer's whereabouts were still unknown. The nobles of Fabreau followed other great nobles in the south and deterred from the wilderness to the north, wanting to join the royal family. They would definitely be blocked by the constitutional army on the way, which was a good opportunity for the Alchemy Council to weaken the nobles. Rudolph was ready to go and see. At his current speed, he would soon find the nobles in the wilderness. 6 transparent bat wings grew behind him, and the bat wings took him to the sky quickly. Of course, all this happened in absolute concealment. The residents of the town were awakened by the witch hunters, and at this time they were looking for the reason why the witch hunters came here by the windows or on the streets. Rudolph flew away from the high platform, and no one could see him. In Rudolph's own opinion, the bat wings behind him were very huge, but in the eyes of others, ordinary people could only see the same high platform as before, and could not see Rudolph at all. The director of the regional court just now felt more and more that something was wrong after he left. He compiled a detailed report on everything that happened in the Hevelius Observatory and sent it to the capital city of Evelyn, where the House of Lords was located, overnight. He also sent many witch hunter teams to sneak into the town of Hevelius. Although he didn't see anything, he just felt that there must be something strange in the town of Hevelius. The wizard witch hunters discovered a very short-lived abnormality in the star power. When the witch hunters bravely went in, they found nothing. It was really strange. The investigation report of the Court of Inquiry was sent to the Senate of Evelyn City, and finally to the hands of Caxiu, the 7th-level word spirit of the Carolingian kingdom. Caxiu looked at the report with fear and trepidation. He did not care about the abnormality encountered by the head of the Court of Inquiry. He only paid attention to one piece of information, that is, the location of the abnormal event, the Hevelius Observatory. Please ask the astronomers to come. And ask the wizards and witch hunters of the Court of Inquiry to come. Soon, 2 astronomers and wizards and witch hunters came to the Carolingian Macro Development Trend Research Institute. The life of Hevelius, the location of the town of Hevelius, the abnormal star power, the location of the constellations in the starry sky, and after several people discussed, they found that the town of Hevelius was the direct point of Lacerda. After the research of the 2 astronomers and wizards and witch hunters, they came to a conclusion that made people's scalps numb. The Lacerda wizard who has not appeared for hundreds of years has appeared. The 7th level word spirit Cashew put on the mask of pain. His ability could not predict who the scorpion tiger wizard was. Even the 8th level word spirit Hermes in the north could only predict a blank when predicting the scorpion tiger wizard. Notify the Senate and say. Cashew wanted to say, don't say anything, anyway, it's useless to be careful, just say that the scorpion tiger wizard appeared. If you encounter something incomprehensible, don't rule out the possibility that it was the scorpion tiger wizard who took action. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 658. In the wilderness, a team of knights was galloping northward. Jennifer was at the back of the team, and her status was not high, mainly because she did not provide enough knights and cavalry. As a baron, she had only 10 knights and more than 70 cavalry. She was young and did not have much background, and could not accumulate knights and cavalry. When leaving Fabreau City, many cavalry secretly left the team. They did not want to go far away to fight for a king they had never seen. Jennifer did not take any coercive or retaliatory measures against those cavalry who escaped. Those cavalry had their own ideas and their own families, and she could not force them. Jennifer's team was the cavalry of Viscount Savin of Fabreau City, and Viscount Savin was part of the cavalry of Count Baron. At the forefront of the cavalry was Marquis Adine of Orbe province. No matter where these nobles had their fiefs before, they were now homeless wandering knights. The royal family declared war on the Alchemy Council, and they had to abandon everything according to the vassal contract and go to the northern capital to fight for King Lothair XI. In the huge cavalry team, each knight had 2 or 3 war horses, which carried their supplies for this trip. The families of the nobles and knights also followed on horses. If only the knight army was advancing, the galloping of thousands of horses would still be a bit impressive. The carriages and messy formations of the families crowded together in the back proved that this was a team of knights fleeing. In the desolate wilderness, it took a long time to find water, and many people became weak due to lack of water. Not good. A large number of airships appeared in the distance. Hearing the shouts of other knights, Jennifer hurriedly turned her head and looked at the sky in the east. That was the territory of the Alchemy Council and where humans lived. As a belligerent party, the Alchemy Council would certainly not allow such a knight corps to return to the command of Lothair XI. A Marquis Knight Corps had very strong combat effectiveness. This Marquis Knight Corps is the farthest from the royal family. The Orbe province is located in the southernmost part of the kingdom and borders the Carolingian kingdom. The marching route of the Marquis of Adine Knight Corps is the longest, and therefore the most dangerous. The Alchemy Council has assembled a huge force to launch an attack here. Military orders came one after another, and the Knight Corps formed a defensive formation. The Knight Corps turned east, and the family team swung west. The family team left the Knight Corps and temporarily took refuge in the depths of the wilderness. Jennifer glanced at the family team behind her. She didn't know how her mother was in the team. The family team had poor discipline. She didn't know if her fresh water had been robbed. There had been several fights in the family team before. Hoping that everything was fine with her mother, Jennifer led her cavalry and changed positions according to the flags in front. After arriving at the position, she stopped her horse and waited for the attack order. This Marquis Knight Corps has more than 4,000 knights and cavalry, and the Marquis of Adine, who led it, is a level 5 knight. Marquis 18's strength is relatively low. As a Marquis, he is only a level 5 knight. The Carolingian kingdom has been in peace for a long time. Marquis 18 has not had many opportunities to encounter life and death battles. It was only after he organized several raids on the werewolves in the wilderness that he was promoted to a level 5 knight in the battle with the werewolves. Level 5 knights are not bad. They can burst out the combat power of level 6 apostles in battle. There are so many airships not far away, densely packed. At a rough glance, there are at least 80. In the next battle, Jennifer hopes that Marquis 18 can be promoted, so that the strength of the Marquis Knight Corps will be stronger. After thinking about it, Jennifer didn't want to encounter that situation. If Marquis 18 is promoted, I don't know how many knights and cavalrymen in this knight group will die from the absorption of the Guardian Chain. As the alchemical airship approached the Knight Corps, the altitude was getting higher and higher. The rise of the airship will affect the shooting accuracy of their alchemical weapons, but the huge formation of 80 airships does not need shooting accuracy at all, just rounds of alchemical weapons can be used to clean the ground. Multi-barreled alchemical rockets can fire 16 rockets at a time. There are more than 30 artillery on the side of the airship, which can fire 3 shells in a short time. There are also several machine guns on the airship. These firepower can instantly turn the ground into a sea of fire. Especially among these weapons, the rockets are high-level alchemical weapons such as thermite bombs and thermobaric bombs. The coverage area of a rocket is very amazing. After rising to a height of several hundred meters, the airship army of the Constitutional Army began to prepare for shooting. Marquis 18 did not use the Guardian Chain to connect to his 3 earls at the first time. At this time, more knights need to throw spears and reduce the number of enemy airships as soon as possible. Among the 3 earls, Earl Baron is a level 5 knight, and the remaining 2 earls are only level 4 knights. Without the baptism of war, the Carolingian kingdom's knights are generally of low level, but these knights should not be underestimated. They can easily find opportunities for promotion in battle after battle. Compared with the slightly weaker knight team, the alchemical airships have reinforcement arrays, and the flagship airships have level 7 alchemical reinforcement arrays. The 3 earls look serious. In this battle, whether it was Marquis 18 or the 3 earls, they had to be promoted to resist the interception of the Constitutional Army. More than 4,000 knights, even if only half of them were left in the end, must be promoted and must survive. The Guardian Chain shot out from behind Earl Baron and accurately hit the 4 Viscounts behind him, including Viscount Savin of Fabreau City. Savon's expression tightened, and the guard chain behind him also shot out and connected to the Baron behind him. Jennifer was in pain. No one would like this feeling of being extracted, but there was no way. In order to fight against the huge airship army, someone must contribute and sacrifice. The counterattack of ordinary knights had no effect on those high-level alchemical reinforcement arrays. Alchemists can use standard weapons to suppress on the battlefield. This is the foundation of the alchemist's strong strength. Such a large cavalry corps, in the end there were only 4 people. The Marquis and 3 earls launched a counterattack. 4 knights threw spears into the sky and flew towards the 4 airships in front. In sharp contrast to the 4 spears, all weapons on more than 80 airships fired at the same time. High-level alchemical weapons interfered with the Marquis and the Earl, and low-level alchemical weapons dealt with the knights. As for the cavalry, they only needed the residual power of artillery fire to blow them up. The sky was full of flames, which were the tail flames left by the rockets when they flew. The sky was filled with continuous thunder-like cannon sounds, which were the roaring sounds of artillery. The sky was full of terrifying black lines, which were large-caliber bullets fired by machine guns. Jennifer was in great pain in the face of this overwhelming attack. If she had been braver and followed Rudolph to Saragosse, would things be different now? The last time I saw Yvonne, she had become a level 5 werewolf. If she was also a level 5 knight, would she no longer be afraid of these terrifying artillery fire? Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 659. Too many, too many. There were too many level 6 alchemical weapons in the first attack of the Constitutional Army. At this moment, the knights on the ground finally remembered why the knights lost to the alchemists in the Constitutional War. A group of knights below level 5 have no resistance to level 6 alchemical weapons. This is the strongest point of the alchemist. There are only 2 level 5 knights in this Marquis Knight Corps, while there are hundreds of level 6 alchemical weapons on the Constitutional Army's airship. As long as there are enough resources, the alchemist can stack enough high-level alchemical weapons and then suppress other apostles. One set of level 6 alchemical weapons is not the opponent of the level 6 apostles. What about 10? What about 100? Even if Marquis Adine or Earl Baron is promoted immediately and becomes a level 6 knight, they cannot stop the destruction of this knight corps. Because the level 7 alchemical weapons on the flagship have not been activated, this time the Constitutional Army airship fleet also carries 2 level 7 alchemical cannons and 5 level 7 multiple rockets. Compared with the calm alchemist airship fleet, the knights on the ground were so chaotic. The length of the guard chain cannot be too long, which leads to a dense formation of knights and cavalry. The overwhelming artillery fire washed the ground, and hundreds of knights and cavalry were killed in an instant. Just the first round of attack caused the Knight Corps to lose nearly 1/5 of its personnel. Jennifer was very unfortunate. A high-level shell exploded 5 meters behind her. This shell not only killed her 2 knights, but also killed her 15 cavalry. This shell was a level 5 alchemy shell, and the residual power even knocked Jennifer off her horse. The huge shockwave made Jennifer's internal organs hit like a heavy hammer, and blood came from the corners of her mouth. The heavy armor became a burden. When she stood up with difficulty, she saw the smoke of explosions everywhere around her. The weapons of the alchemists have been improving, and their weapons are more advanced than those during the Constitutional War. She looked ahead of the team, wondering if Marquis Adine and Earl Baron had been promoted. This damn hereditary system, the knight level of Marquis Adine is too low. He is only a level 5 knight, but he can inherit the title of Marquis. On such a battlefield, level 5 knights are not enough. However, what disappointed Jennifer was that the 2 level 5 knights at the front of the team showed no signs of promotion and were still the same strength as before. The good news is that not only were there shells behind Jennifer, but there were also shells in front of her. This explosion broke the guardian chain that Viscount Savin had connected to her, and Viscount Savin was also injured and fell off his horse, which made Jennifer feel lighter. She felt that this was an opportunity, and the guardian chain flew out from her back and connected to her remaining knights and cavalry. Follow me. Counterattack. Jennifer did her best to mobilize all the knight power on her body, and at the same time, the extraction behind her reached the maximum. The fullest limit power filled Jennifer's body, and her mind was blank at this time, because she saw that at an altitude of several hundred meters in the sky, the airship began to wash the ground with artillery fire again. Fire flashed from the muzzle, and the sound of the cannon was heard after a few seconds. If she was hit by this round of artillery fire, she and her knights would be hit hard again. Jennifer threw away her javelin, and instinctively picked up the shield, poured all her ultimate strength into the shield, and then threw the shield diagonally upward. She was only a level 3 knight, and even if her javelin hit the airship, it could not break the alchemical reinforcement array on the airship. At this time, her instinctive idea was to let the shield carry the ultimate power to block the shells and alchemical bullets fired at them as much as possible. After the shield flew away from Jennifer's hand, the ultimate power on it formed a white, giant shield-shaped protective shield along the edge of the shield, and the protective shield quickly flew into the air. More than a dozen shells hit the protective shield, and they exploded in front of the protective shield and did not fall to the ground again. This was not enough. Jennifer picked up the spare shield hanging on the side of the warhorse. The attendant noticed the Baron's behavior and hurried forward to hand over his shield and spare shield. Shields flew into the sky one by one, and Jennifer poured the drawn extreme power into the shield again and again. The shells were so dense that many shells shattered the shield thrown by Jennifer and exploded beside Jennifer. In the roar and the beating of the shells, Jennifer's muscles and bones seemed to fall apart. The strong vibration also poured the extreme power into every corner of her body. She felt comfortable all over. When she got up from the ground again, she found that she was promoted. On the battlefield, she seized the opportunity to lose contact with Viscount Savin. She did not rashly use the knight's javelin, but used a shield instead. Not only did she protect the knight cavalry behind her, but also under the stimulation of adrenaline, the extreme power reached the critical value, allowing the extreme power to complete the transformation of the body. She achieved promotion on the battlefield and became a level 4 knight. Rudolph, who had just arrived at the battlefield, was very pleased to see this scene. A level 4 knight was not bad, at least he would be more valued among the nobles. Jennifer, who had been staying in Fabreau City, had not experienced much suffering and fighting. This was the benefit of her noble status, but also the constraint it brought her. If it were not for the civil war, Jennifer would never leave her land and her castle. Her promotion could only rely on finding werewolves in the wilderness. This kind of battle often did not have much pressure, resulting in her little chance of promotion. Jennifer was promoted on the battlefield for the first time she came into contact with a real war. She had a very good talent. Jennifer's good performance here does not mean that other knights are so lucky. In the second round of artillery fire of the Constitutional Army, the 18 Knight Corps lost hundreds of knights and cavalry again. After 2 rounds of artillery fire, the reduction of personnel was close to 1/3, and there were still many shells on the Constitutional Army's airship. In this situation, even if Marquis Adine and Count Baron were promoted together, it would not help. 2 more level 6 knights could not change the destruction of this corps, not to mention that Marquis Adine and Count Baron showed no signs of promotion. For a noble like this, it takes a certain amount of time or opportunity to get out of the life of luxury and adapt to the iron and blood war of knights again. The more they enjoy at ordinary times, the more difficult it is to reverse it at this time. With the serious losses of Marquis Adine's Knight Corps and the reduction of troops, this corps has become more and more scattered. In order to better hit the knights and cavalry on the ground, the altitude of the Constitutional Army's airship has also been lowered. This is also a provocation. The commander of the Constitutional Army believes that the threat of knights on the ground is getting smaller and smaller, and there is no need to worry about their counterattack. Especially the flagship airship of the Constitutional Army, the largest airship with a level 7 alchemy reinforcement array, dropped the fastest. Jennifer had already seen the commander on the flagship airship, that was Norberto, the deputy commander-in-chief of the Constitutional Army of the Carolingian Alchemy Council, a level 7 alchemist. The airships of the Constitutional Army lowered their altitudes and came to a new attack position, waiting for the flagship to issue a firing order, so that the next round of artillery fire could cause this poor marching corps to lose thousands of knights and cavalry. At this moment, a person suddenly appeared beside Deputy Commander-in-Chief Norberto. This person appeared so naturally, as if he had been there before, without any signs. The reconnaissance troops of the Constitutional Army failed to find him, the word spirits accompanying the army failed to find him, the high-level alchemists failed to find him, and various high-level witch hunters failed to find him. He penetrated all the reconnaissance defense systems and suddenly stood beside Deputy Commander-in-Chief Norberto. "You know, I'm from Fabreau City. Give me a face and let them go." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 660. As the largest nobleman in the south of the Carolingian kingdom, the Marquis of Edirne had his cavalry regiment return north, and the Alchemy Council attached great importance to it. The second in command of the Constitutional Army, Deputy Commander-in-Chief Admiral Norberto, personally led the airship fleet to arrive and must destroy this regiment in the wilderness. The weapons and personnel of the Constitutional Army's airship fleet are very powerful, with many level 7 alchemy weapons and many high-level witch hunters. The chief advisor of the General Staff, the 7th level speech spirit Basim of the Carolingian Constitutional Army, also went out with the fleet, just to prevent accidents from happening, and to prevent a certain Duke Knights from coming to pick up the Knights of the Marquis of Edirne. Until the beginning of the war, everything went smoothly. The Marquis of Edirne's cavalry regiment was a dead fish, and Basim did not divine any surprises. Hearing the cold voice beside them, a group of senior officers turned their heads in surprise. Norberto turned his head slightly and saw the profile of the young man beside him. This man's appearance made his heart feel like it had been hit by a heavy hammer, and it didn't beat for a few seconds. Of course Norberto knew this man. For a while, this man made the judgment department miserable. In the end, the grassroots council made a compromise and sent this demon away. Furnace. Rudolph the Wizard of the city of Fabreau. But how did he break through the many blockades and appear here? What about the fleet's reconnaissance system? What about the fleet's defense systems? What about the alchemical reinforcement circle? What about the alchemical shielding array? Where is Yanling Basim, the chief advisor of the General Staff? All defense systems of the airship fleet failed. The furnace broke through all barriers and suddenly appeared beside Norberto, deputy commander of the Constitutional Army, without warning. Rudolph's speed was so fast that before the news of the Carolingian Alchemy Council reminding various departments to beware of Lacerda wizards reached here, Rudolph arrived first. I count down to 3, and if one more bullet hits the ground, I will kill all the officers on your command flagship. Looking at the furnace on the ground, he said these words calmly. 3. While Rudolph was shouting the number, he turned his head and glanced at the level 7 spirit of the Carolingian Constitution Army, and smiled at him. Basim, the level 7 speech spirit, was frantically using his divination power at this time. He desperately discovered that even if the furnace stood in front of him, he could not figure out how the furnace appeared. 2. Deputy Commander Norberto's face turned red, as if he was suffocating, but he quickly raised his hand to signal the staff officer to issue a ceasefire order. A sharp whistle sounded from the flagship airship, and the orderlies on the side waved their flags frantically to stop other airships from attacking. In an instant, more than 80 airships of the Constitutional Army fell silent. All weapons were smoking, but they no longer fired. According to the tactical requirements, after stopping the attack, the airship will automatically rise upwards to distance itself from the enemy. The knights and cavalry on the ground were all dumbfounded. The Constitutional Army was clearly at a huge advantage, so why did they suddenly stop attacking and then raise their altitude? Jennifer breathed a sigh of relief. Although she didn't know the reason, this was an opportunity. She quickly turned around and walked back to see the damage to her team. Fortunately for her, she only lost more than 20 cavalry and 3 knights. Such losses made her heartbroken, but she could accept it. After becoming a level 4 knight, Jennifer was in a great mood and felt so lucky. She looked up at the Constitutional Army airship and then looked at the direction of the Marquis flag, wondering what was going on. 10 minutes later, a group of messengers rushed over. Baron Jennifer. Where is Baron Jennifer? Marquis Etienne, please come over. The messenger shouted anxiously, which surprised Jennifer. Her knight level is level 4, which is already very good among knights, but she is only a baron. Why does the Marquis want to see her? And he still used a polite expression like ask her to come over? I'm here. When the messenger heard the sound and saw Baron Jennifer's flag, he rushed over and halted his horse urgently in front of Jennifer. Baron Jennifer, the Marquis of Eddern wants to see you and meet with you, please come with me. Jennifer didn't know why, so she had to obey the Marquis's order, so she followed the messenger and left. The messengers didn't explain anything along the way. She asked the messengers, who said they didn't know either. They only said that the Marquis personally gave the order and wanted to see Baron Jennifer. On the elevated airship flagship, Rudolph nodded with satisfaction. Very well, Commander, what's your name? You and your flagship are saved. A group of Constitutional Army officers stood behind Norberto and glared at Rudolph. Most of them had seen Rudolph's portrait and knew that it was the devil of Fabreau City, Rudolph the Forge. They understood Norberto's decision. The Forge was recently famous as the Immortal Phoenix Wizard and the Southern Cross Wizard as the top assassin. He was suddenly approached by the Forge. This meant that the Forge could easily kill the Deputy Commander-in-Chief, or he could easily kill the Deputy Commander from within. Destroy the flagship airship. If the Forge goes to war without declaring a war and directly destroys the airship, it will have a huge blow to the morale of the entire airship fleet. If the flagship crashes, the other airships will fall into chaos. Norberto asked with a cold face, I am Norberto, Deputy Commander-in-Chief of the Constitutional Army, Melting Pot, what do you want to do, what do you want? His life was in the wizard's hands, and he could only compromise. The sudden appearance of the Forge proved that the defense system of the Constitutional Army's airship fleet had failed. Rudolph said. It's nothing. There is an acquaintance down there, Baron Jennifer. I can't watch you kill her. If you kill her, I will be very sad. I am too charming. Many women love me deeply and are loyal to me. I suspect that Baron Jennifer is still unmarried because she is waiting for me. This is my responsibility. I must help her once. The staff officer stepped forward and whispered a few words in Norberto's ear. Norberto frowned and said a name, Baron Jennifer of Gastown, Fabreau City. Yes, Jennifer. In the many intelligence about the furnace, Jennifer is the representative of the nobles who support the furnace. The two sides have a very good relationship. The trial office has long suspected that their relationship is unclear. Rudolph said to Norberto, you go, if you let Jennifer go, I will let you go too. I have a good relationship with Arden, the Speaker of Fabreau City Council. For his sake, I don't want to have a blood feud with you. Norberto did not answer, but asked, what kind of ability do you have? Why did you suddenly appear beside me? I can't tell you. It won't be mysterious if I tell you. Anyway, you just need to know a little bit. If I want, I can appear at the bedside of your Speaker of the Senate, and no one can stop me, just like this. Under the gaze of everyone, Rudolph's figure suddenly disappeared. Norberto's guards suddenly moved and set up several barriers in front of Norberto. The outer circle of guards, the middle circle of protective shields, the inner circle of close defense, the 7th level word spirit basim and several high-level witch hunters are all out, and several translucent protective shields of different colors appear, which looks very powerful. However, Rudolph appeared behind Norberto, and looked over Norberto's shoulder at the busy guards outside, let them take a break, they are tired and useless. Seeing the furnace appear again, Norberto squinted his eyes, knowing that he had lost, and lost miserably. The furnace beside him really had the ability to kill him silently. My recent activities focus on the Kingdom of Elba, where the situation is more tense and I have more enemies there. To be honest, I don't want to get involved too much in Carolingian affairs. I came to discuss with you, let my friends go, and won't attack your Constitutional Army airship fleet. I hope you will give me a face and leave now, how about it? Norberto closed his eyes painfully. Before finding a way to deal with the perverted infiltration ability of the furnace, all their alchemists will be in danger. The uncompromising ending is that the flagship will be shot down and all officers will die at the hands of the furnace. The bloodiness of the furnace is well known, and he can do it. Okay, Mr. Furnace, Please do as you please. We will leave here and will not stop your friend Baron Jennifer. Rudolph was very happy. He really didn't want to get his hands on too much blood of the Constitutional Army soldiers. You are a very easy person to talk to. I can spare your life next time we meet. The furnace's charity was like a curse, and the curse was particularly ugly. Norberto turned pale and left. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 661. Jennifer followed the messenger and entered the center of the cavalry corps, and found that all the nobles were gathered here. Viscount Savin was waiting in front of her, and then walked forward side by side with her. My Lord Viscount, what happened? Why did the Marquis want to see me? I'm not sure, let's go in and take a look first. Viscount Savin was too far away from the command center, and he really didn't know. When he saw the Marquis's attendants and guards go to serve as messengers, he was also shocked. Under the banner of Marquis Adine, Jennifer saw Count Baron waiting on the side. Count Baron was looking up at the airship fleet in the sky. At this time, the airship fleet had turned around and was leaving the battle area. Count Baron's face was full of surprise. Viscount Savin and Jennifer also looked up and looked at the sky, and found that dozens of airships turned around under the command of the enemy's flag and moved away from the battle area. Count Baron lowered his head and stopped looking at the airship. The situation was settled. They had safely passed the interception. Baron Jennifer, I'm very sorry. I have never been to Fabreau before. Now I regret it so much. I should have gone to Fabreau to meet my vassal and visit that gentleman. Jennifer frowned in confusion. That gentleman? Which gentleman? Who is it? She suddenly raised her eyebrows and had a guess. Could it be him? The only powerful person she knew was Rudolph. Could it be that Rudolph came? Count Baron personally led the way in front and led Jennifer into the command area. It's called a command area, but it's just an area surrounded by guards, with many bigwigs standing inside. Marquis Adine stood in the front on horseback, looking up at the fleet of Constitutional Army airships going away. My Lord Marquis, Baron Jennifer from Fabreau is here. Marquis Adine actually turned over and dismounted and walked towards Jennifer, which scared Jennifer. Even if the Marquis rode in front of her, she felt that it was reasonable. The Marquis dismounted. This honor was too great for a baron. The Marquis was a tall and thin middle-aged nobleman. He was a Marquis, but now he was only a level 5 knight. Marquis Adine said in surprise, did Baron Jennifer get promoted? Became a level 4 knight. Yes, Lord Marquis, I was lucky enough to get promoted on the battlefield just now. Baron Jennifer is so powerful and lucky. He has a bright future and will definitely become a famous knight. The other two earls and several viscounts looked at the young baron curiously. The Marquis did not explain the situation to them, so they didn't know why the Marquis was so polite to the baron in front of him. The Marquis had dismounted a long time ago, and none of the other nobles dared to ride horses. They all dismounted and stood a little further away. After the Constitutional Army airship fleet retreated, these nobles did not understand why the Marquis did not deal with military affairs first, and why he wanted to meet with this baron. Others had urgent military information, especially the losses of various troops, and wanted to report it to the Marquis as soon as possible. The Marquis said one sentence, and Jennifer responded modestly. She was confused until a moment, when Jennifer felt dizzy. Rudolph. Rudolph suddenly appeared in front of her and smiled at her. Rudolph first glanced at Jennifer, and after finding that Jennifer was fine, he turned around and took off his hat to Marquis Adine. After greeting, Rudolph turned around again and looked at Jennifer. Staring at the back of the furnace, Marquis Adine did not feel offended at all, and the expression on his face was clearly fortunate. His staff officer told him that there was an extra person on the flagship of the Constitutional Army, and that person scared away the entire Constitutional Army airship fleet. According to the intelligence, The man looked like Rong. As a wizard who appeaed in his fiefdom, Marquis 18 had paid attention to Rong for a long time, but he was too far away and had no chance to meet him. And Rong came here because of his woman, Baron Jennifer. Rudolph. Jennifer couldn't help rubbing her eyes and found that it was really Rudolph. Jennifer, long time no see, congratulations on your promotion to a level 4 knight. Why did you suddenly appear here? Aren't you in the Saragosse? Oh, I came to the Carolingian kingdom to be promoted. I knew you left Fabreau City, so I followed you to see. I guess the Alchemy Council will not let you go north easily. Fortunately, I arrived in time then, the Constitutional Army airship fleet. That Deputy Commander Norberto is easy to talk to, a good person. We chatted for a while, and he withdrew his troops for my sake. Jennifer did not doubt the truth of Rudolph's words, because the abnormal behavior of the Marquis proved that Rudolph must have done something, otherwise the Marquis would not treat her specially. Rudolph asked in front of everyone, Jennifer, come with me. The Carolingian Civil War is about to begin. It's not safe here. I have to stay in the Kingdom of Elba for some things. It will be safer for you to stay with me. The power of destruction is about to appear in Leger City. Rudolph wants to watch there. He hopes to take Jennifer away. Other nobles looked sideways. The wizard who suddenly appeared actually said that he wanted to take away a baron, who was a level 4 knight. And looking at Count Baron and Viscount Savin who lowered their heads, the lords of the barons at all levels did not express their opinions at the first time. Even Marquis 18 behind the wizard did not speak, but waited patiently for the end of the conversation between the two. The nobles understood that it was no wonder that Marquis 18 looked at Jennifer differently. It turned out that the wizard in Fabreau City forced back the Constitution Army airship fleet. These nobles communicated with each other with their eyes, wondering what kind of strength this wizard had that he could force back an entire airship fleet. Jennifer's heart beat faster. She especially wanted to promise Rudolph, follow him and stay away from danger. After a moment, Jennifer's pupils shrank, her pride did not allow her to do so. Sorry, Rudolph, I can't promise you. I am a noble, I am a knight, I have my ideals, and I have my pursuits. Compared with staying by your side, I still want to rely on my knight sword and horse, become a stronger knight. Marquis Edern was relieved. If Jennifer followed the furnace, he would lose a layer of protection. Rudolph was slightly disappointed, but he could understand that Jennifer had her own pursuits, and everyone had their own ideas. He could not change the fate of others. Rudolph turned around and looked at Marquis Edern behind him. Lord Marquis, I am a level 7 wizard forge and a friend of Jennifer. I was indeed the one who persuaded the Constitutional Army airship fleet to withdraw. Is it not too much to ask for a compensation? It's not too much. Please tell me, Mr. Furnace, and I will definitely do it. The compensation I want is that you can train Jennifer and help her become a stronger knight. Of course, cultivating my own vassals is what I should do. Mr. Furnace, without you, my regiment would have lost a lot of troops. It was you who saved me and my regiment. Jennifer is an extremely good person. Knight, no matter in public or private life, I will do my best to cultivate her. The next time you see Jennifer, she will become the knight that attracts everyone's attention. Rudolph nodded, okay, I will return to the Carolingian kingdom in the future. There are many constellations in the northern sky. I will come here many times to complete the secret formula. I hope we can cooperate again in the future. Of course, I look forward to seeing you again. Turning around and looking at Jennifer's stubborn look, Rudolph stretched out his arm to hug her, then took off the ring on his hand and put it on Jennifer's thumb. Her other fingers were too slender to wear. Goodbye, Jennifer. I won't delay your journey north. We'll talk next time we meet. The figure of the furnace disappeared again, and no one could see how he left. The Marquis Yanling attendant was sweating profusely and stood aside with his head bowed. It was obvious that even with Yanling's special ability, he was unable to capture the traces of the furnace. The nobles looked at the ring on Jennifer's finger and were very envious. That was the ring worn by the level 7 wizard forge. It must be a very powerful witch weapon, at least a level 6 witch weapon. Jennifer rubbed the level 6 Oblivion ring on her finger and remained silent for a long time. She really hopes that next time they meet, she can become a great knight worthy of Rudolph. She wants to stand proudly beside Rudolph, instead of becoming Rudolph's vassal and being protected by Rudolph all the time. Jennifer was originally one of the 2 female leads and had many roles. In order to create contrast in the early plots, the promotion of the chosen knight was more bloody than that of the heretic apostle. Jennifer's status as a knight made her disliked. Many book friends did not like her. Later, the outline was changed and many of her ideas were deleted. It's such a pity to think about it now.